Hello YouTube, my name is Tom and I am the Crypto Investor, and it's time for our weekly market roundup. And what a horrific week it has been. Look at that bloodbath in the markets. We've had Bitcoin down 21%, and that's on top of 21% the week before. Ethereum down 38% for the week, and most alts not faring any better. BNB down 47%, DOT down 50%. Basically, every coin was more or less down 30 to 50%. A few coins bucking the trend like Celsius down just 6%. What considered a win in a horrible week like that. Of course, stablecoins green, that's what they do. All right, let's jump into the charts and see if we can make much sense of what is going on in the market. So I think, we have to go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin still is the dominant coin that leads the market. And so we can look at, there was our 20% drop the week before, and this is our 20% drop. At one point, of course, Bitcoin was down 35% for the week. It did recover from the 30,000 mark, bouncing off. And as I discussed in my other video, that final accelerated move was also to do with liquidations. It was the fact that the brokers are down, the exchanges are down, so you don't have buyers coming into the market, whereas you do have people on margin who are getting liquidated on their positions. And so when you get that, you get air pockets in the market and you get that sizable move down. We have also, of course, had buyers since come back in to an extent, but that explains a lot of that wick. So we can't also take too much solace from that wick. It doesn't necessarily mean huge amounts of buyers are waiting below. It just simply means, that was more of a liquidity event that we were enduring here. And, 775,000 people had their accounts liquidated on this move. So we know that there was huge amounts of margin in the system. And so, one of the things we have to consider is what is going to happen next. And for me, because so much of this value here was on margin, I think that we can kind of rule out that quick V-shaped recovery. It doesn't really make sense that we're going to find that much capital, which was represented by all that margin, that quickly. So, I feel that, of course, we have three different things that could happen. The V-shaped recovery, consolidation, or we, of course, break down further. And for me, I also say we can not rule out, but for me, the probability is we don't necessarily break down further. This is not a blow off top. Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole has never ended a cycle with this kind of formation. It's normally parabolic. It's normally steep. So this, for me, does not in any way look like we have got a market top. I think for me, this is a mid-cycle peak, and we are in a lengthening cycle. Each cycle previously has got longer and longer, and now I'm starting to think that this cycle is going to be taking us until the middle of 2023. Middle of 2022 also. So we will see how that unfolds. So just looking at my chart, I had this, when we were moving up in October, November, December time, we had this beautiful support channel coming in for Bitcoin. And that has been where we have found some support now in the market. Of course, we wicked down below it, but overall, this seems to be providing some kind of floor. It's like a continuation of this trajectory. And we had this overhead resistance where Bitcoin couldn't break above it until it did just before Christmas. And then we came up, we retested that as support and resumed up. And for me, Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole has just come up too fast, too quickly and got ahead of itself. And we've seen this correction. And I think, what I expect to happen now is more like consolidation. Where's my cursor to draw with? All right, here's the brush. So, I think most likely scenario is that we head sideways from here. I wouldn't be surprised if we just get some kind of chop. Maybe we come back down. Maybe we have another pop at 35,000 or even lower. But overall, I think, we're going to just be enduring something like this before eventually we break out of it to the upside. So I think we could be looking at 3 to 6 months of sideways action, consolidation before the market moves up higher. So, that represents a opportunity to stack sats. This is an accumulation period that we may be able to take advantage of. And any dips anywhere between 30 and 35, I would be snapping up more cheap Bitcoin at those prices. And, I think what we've just seen is a full market cycle within a cycle. And my anticipation is that now we are going to go through a period of Bitcoin strengthening and gaining its dominance again. If we just get that face out of the way and click on Bitcoin dominance, we can see that, we came down as low as 40 in dominance, and we have since bounced quite considerably up to 46% dominance. So that's what Bitcoin represents of the total market cap of crypto. The lowest it ever got was down here in the 2017 cycle, where it got down to 36%. I think we get below there on this cycle. There's a much more mature alt market than we had in 2017. So I really think we get below there, but not yet. So, I think we're going to see Bitcoin strengthen for the time being. Maybe it comes up to 50% or so. I don't think it's going to break there. And eventually, we consolidate, then it moves down. And I think we're actually going to see something like this. This is my beautiful drawing of, when you go to a very fancy wedding, I can't say I've ever been to one that fancy, but you get this champagne pyramid. And I think that's what effectively we're going to see starting to happen again. The money goes into Bitcoin, then it goes into the blue chip alts of Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, etc. Then the alts, then the moonshots, then the shit coins. And I guess, we could learn from the fact that we were seeing Shiba and Coin and all sorts of dross pumping, perhaps telling us, that's really indicative of a market peak. So I think we see this happen again. Maybe for the next 3 to 6 months, Bitcoin finds stability, grows, then that money flows down through the whole system again, and then perhaps we get that parabolic top. And if we do get that parabolic move, that's for me alarm bells ringing. That's when I'll be selling 70-80% of my main holdings, particularly my speculative holdings, and moving my capital into the blue chip coins within the crypto space. And let me just remind you that I am just a guy on the internet. This does not constitute financial advice. Please do your own research. I'm just simply sharing with you what I find useful and what I'm paying attention to, but this should not be considered as financial advice. If you are getting any value out of what I'm saying, please do hit subscribe. Please do like the video and share it with your friends as well. All right, let's just look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So, we got the breakout of that widening channel and it shot off up 64%. And then, of course, that has now changed. We've since seen this week, Ethereum has lost ground to Bitcoin, giving back 25% as, effectively Bitcoin is a safe haven, even though we know it's a highly volatile asset class, but within the crypto space, it represents a safe haven. And so, it's given back effectively to that. I wouldn't be surprised if we jump down onto a shorter timescale here. I wouldn't be surprised to see that this area kind of provides some kind of support for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's where we had initially seen resistance and support. So I think we work along here for a time being before Ethereum begins to increase its dominance on Bitcoin again. And let's also just jump into the Ethereum chart whilst we're here. So Ethereum had been channeling basically since the beginning of the year. And we had this overhead resistance that once we got that news that the European Investment Bank was using Ethereum as a settlement layer, then that was when we got, obviously the big smart money jumping into Ethereum, and we peaked out, only 10 days ago at $4,400 in Ethereum, which it just feels like a lifetime ago already. And we've since come back down, I think dropping 50% or so, and finding support at that lower level of the channel. And, I think, again, we're just going to build up a floor here. It's likely that Ethereum's going to continue to use this channel, and that the upper portion of it, which also coincides right now with exactly at 3,000, is going to provide strong resistance. It did a few days ago. We can see that 3,000 is where we were rejected. It's a psychological line in the sand. There's going to obviously be a big buy wall at 3,000, as well as it representing this overhead resistance here. So, that's what I see just happening for Ethereum for the time being. All right, and let's just look at the total market cap. I had my kind of where to consider being fearful when others are greedy and where to be greedy where others are fearful. Well, what do I know? Look how we just broke down out of those bands that I had in place and just destroyed my beautiful chart. So again, I think we consolidate. We'll come back up over the coming months or so to 2 trillion or so. If you had your Lambo on order, it might be just worth letting them know that it's going to be a bit later than you expected. I think we have to wait a good 3 to 6 months of consolidation before things start to get exciting again. So, that's really what I'm seeing for the time being. All of the altcoins, it's the same story. They've all kind of broken down, and we just need to wait for Bitcoin to do its job and for that confidence to come into Bitcoin before it then cycles back into the rest of the market. Let's just take one more look at Bitcoin on a shorter time scale, because We've only really looked at this on the weekly, and let's take it down into the 8-hour. I think, there's a case we're making some kind of double bottom here. It's still tenuous. It's still a little optimistic at this point. But that, as I said, is that previous resistance line, support line that I had in play. And it seems to be holding right now. We're actually coming to a key point because we have this downward trajectory for Bitcoin and we have this support line. I think this support line wins. And I think by the time you watch this video, we've hopefully broken out above here. But the next line that's critical for Bitcoin is it gets above this 41,500 and 42,000 resistance. So in fact, that should be for me a little higher. I think it's more key that we get above the 42,000 resistance, to be honest. And then once we've done that, then we can start thinking about getting above this trend line. But I think that's looking a little too far ahead. Likely is that we come back here, we retest, and we probably fail, and we go sideways unless some news catalyst changes things. So that's it for now. I hope you found that useful, and happy investing, everyone. And for me, if you're new to the crypto world, I've been in this for 8 years. This was one of the most painful and dramatic drops that I have seen in the market. But we are investing in a new and speculative asset class, and so it requires your patience. You can't expect to get rich overnight, and time in the market is better than trying to time the market. If you did enter this space in the last few months or so, and you're seeing your account down 40% or so, it's just a case of turning off your portfolio manager. If you can afford to dollar cost average into your position and build up an average at these lower prices, it's a wonderful opportunity to do so. So far, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, and we have always gone higher in the past. It's just a case of patience for the time being. All right, happy investing, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.